Live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Hello there, good evening and a warm welcome to the 9 p.m. news bulletin of the most prestigious channel in Sri Lanka. Bringing you your top stories for tonight. I am Lakshita Edirisinghe.
And I'm Keza Farooq. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
IMF commends the economic progress of Sri Lanka. Debt restructuring between Sri Lanka and France in the final stage. Another round of negotiations between the US representatives and the president today to get US tariffs further reduced. Justice for victims after proper investigations on Easter Sunday attacks, emphasizes the Premier in Parliament. A case reopened against former Minister Patali Champika Ranawaka. A national industry think tank to uplift the rural economy. A mega program to clean the beach line around the island on the 29th of this month. 7 students perished when the roof of a school building collapsed in India. 29 injured. On to those and other stories in detail. We start off with the top story for tonight. A high-level negotiation was held in the afternoon today in order to get US tariffs further reduced between President Anura Kumar Dissanayake and the US Trade Representative Ambassador Jameson Greer. The negotiations were held online with the main objective of getting the US tariffs on Sri Lanka on further reduced and to improve trade and investment links. Secretary of the Ministry of Finance and officials of the US Trade Representative's office joined the negotiations.
Now, the 2026 budget should be underpinned by strong revenue measures and appropriate spending allocations consistent with IMF program parameters, the International Monetary Fund says. Now, an International Monetary Fund mission team led by Evan, IMF Mission Chief for Sri Lanka, visited Colombo during July 21st to 25th, 2025 to discuss recent macroeconomic developments and progress in implementing economic and financial policies under the authority's economic reform programs supported by the IMF's Extended Fund Facility arrangement. At the end of the mission, said in a statement that the Sri Lankan authorities' economic reform program is yielding commendable outcomes. Real GDP grew by 4.8% year-on-year in 2025 Q1, outperforming expectations. Headline inflation was at 1.1% year-on-year in 2025 second quarter and is gradually returning to target. Gross international reserves stood at $6 billion at end June 2025, while tax revenue collection continued improving, supported by strong performance in VAT and taxes on imported motor vehicles. While the economic outlook is positive, downside risks have increased on the back of potentially high tariffs on Sri Lanka's exports, persistent trade policy uncertainty and heightened geopolitical tensions. This underscores the critical importance of maintaining the reform momentum and the efforts to rebuild fiscal space and external buffers. These reforms will enhance Sri Lanka's resilience to shocks and safeguard the hard-won economic progress to date. Should shocks materialize, they will be addressed within the contours of EFF program.
The governments of Sri Lanka and France have officially signed a memorandum of understanding recently for the debt restructuring according to the MOU signed last year with the official creditor committee. The agreement was signed at the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development with the authorized agencies representing the French government. Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma, Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, signed on behalf of the government of Sri Lanka, while Country Director of AFD represented the government of France. Subsequently, the process of debt restructuring between Sri Lanka and France will be concluded. The External Resources Department says that as a result of these temporary stalled projects can be successfully completed. In addition, the creditor institutions of French government will reallocate loans for new development projects in Sri Lanka. The government will also be able to secure the monetary system in the country.
President Narcotics attended the inaugural session of the annual general meeting of the Global Federation of Sri Lankan Businesses Councils held this morning in Colombo. The Global Federation of Sri Lankan Business Council serves as a platform bringing together the global Sri Lankan business community. Entrepreneurs from 15 countries, including the United States, the United Kingdom, Japan, Australia, Canada and India, are participating in this two-day summit, which takes place today and tomorrow under the theme Uniting Global Sri Lankan Businesses Moving Forward. This year's summit will feature discussions focused on expanding global trade relations, attracting new investments and actively channeling the support of Sri Lankan entrepreneurs worldwide into the country's economy. The President also presented symbolic appreciation awards to the International Council representatives. Minister Vijitha Herath stated that another round of negotiations to get tariffs further reduced will be held today between US representatives and the President. Minister Vijitha Herath said that they had approved an investment of around $500 million. He said that within the next 6 months they would begin 3 investment zones in the northern province. He mentioned that they had identified and opened around 3,000 acres of land in various areas belonging to the Tourism Development Authority. It's that evening, and through that dialogue they hope to reduce the high tariffs imposed on Sri Lanka. The Hotel Show Colombo 2025 was officially inaugurated today by President Anurukumara Dissanayake at the Sirimava Bandanayake Memorial Exhibition Centre in Colombo. This exhibition, which is jointly organized annually by the Sri Lanka Hospitality Graduates Association in collaboration with the public and private sectors, is being held for the 17th time this year. This exhibition serves as a valuable opportunity to promote the country's tourism industry on an international level. Minister Vijitha Herath stated that the tourism sector is expected to become a key contributor to strengthening the national economy in the coming years.
Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya says in Parliament that justice will be achieved for the victims by properly conducting the investigations on the Easter Sunday attacks. The Prime Minister made this remark in reply to a question raised by SJB parliamentarian Shaminda Vijayasiri. Several others also expressed their views in Parliament today. Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya said that the report of the Commission of Inquiry chaired by Supreme Court Justice Janak De Silva is currently being studied by the Attorney General. He said that the Attorney General is in the process of reviewing the report and will be providing his recommendations accordingly. The Prime Minister further noted that following the Attorney General's recommendations, legal action will be taken against all those found responsible for the Easter Sunday attacks in accordance with the law. She said that based on the findings of the Criminal Investigations Department, all parties proven guilty will be prosecuted under criminal law. The Premier emphasized that if any current government officials are found to be involved, the law will be applied equally to them as well, and the government will ensure accountability regardless of position.
Colombo High Court today ordered to summon the case file against former Minister Patali Champika Ranawaka and 2 others on the 18th of November. This order was given when the case was summoned before the High Court Judge Sujiva Nisanka today. The Attorney General has filed this case against the former Minister Patali Champika Ranawaka, his driver Dinum Tusita Kumara and the OIC of the Valikada Police at that time, ASP Sudat Asmadala. They were charged with causing fatal injuries to a youth in a road accident at Rajakiri area on the 28th of February 2016 and concealed the relevant evidence of the accident. Colombo High Court judge informed that Supreme Court has quashed the appeal made by defendant Patali Champika Ranawaka, stating that the case cannot be continued. Accordingly, the Supreme Court has informed the Colombo High Court to continue this case further. Appearing for the complaint, the State Council informed that Additional Solicitor General Dilip Apiris will appear for this case and request another day to summon case. Accordingly, the judge ordered to re-summon the case on the 18th of November and ordered to issue summons for the relevant witnesses to appear before courts. Colombo High Court today decided to hear the revised petition submitted by former Minister Rajitha Senaratne. The former minister had requested an anticipatory bail, preventing him from being arrested by the Bribery Commission, but the Colombo Magistrates Court rejected the bail's application. Therefore, the former minister has presented this revised petition to make the Colombo Magistrates Court decision nullified. The revised petition is to be summoned on the 7th of next month. Hambantota Magistrates Court today ordered to remand the owner of the Hambantota Nagara Bird Park, Ajit Kalagi, the manager and storekeeper of the park until the 30th of this month. They have been accused on the charge of hiding 21 motorcycles that were imported to the country illegally. The Colombo three-member panel of High Court judges today decided to declare the verdict of the case filed against 4 defendants, including Ali Roshan, on the 29th of September.
A foreign passenger was taken into custody during early morning today at the Katunayake airport, along with a stock of narcotics worth around 400 million rupees. The suspect is a 52-year-old Canadian national. According to the officials of the Airport Customs Narcotics Control Division who conducted the raid, the suspect tried to pass through the Green Channel along with the stock of narcotics when he was taken into custody. When his baggage was searched, more than 12 kilograms of hashish and more than 5 kilograms of cocaine were detected. Further investigations have been initiated against the suspect.
Minister Bima Ratnaik stated in the Parliament today that the Supreme Court has delivered an excellent verdict regarding the Express Pearl tragedy. Meanwhile, according to Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, the government will never hesitate in implementing the verdict delivered by the Supreme Court concerning the Express Pearl incident. The Supreme Court ordered the concerned company yesterday to pay a compensation of $1 million for the environmental and economic loss caused due to the fire in the Express Pearl ship. In its verdict, the Supreme Court further said that former Minister Nalaka Gudaheva, former Chairman of Marine Environment Protection Authority, Darshani Lahandapura, have violated fundamental human rights of the people in this incident. The Supreme Court paid attention to the activities of then Attorney General also. Although he filed a case in a court of law in Singapore in order to obtain compensation and file a case also in the High Court of this country, he did not file a criminal case according to the Supreme Court. Accordingly, the Supreme Court decided that the Attorney General also violated fundamental human rights. Attention was paid in the Parliament today in this regard. In more local news, a traditional cap planting ceremony at the four men Devalayas in Kandy prior to the annual Asalaperara of historic Sri Dalada Maligawa was held this morning. Cup erecting commenced at the auspicious time at 6:05 a.m. today at the Vishnu, Nada, Pattini and Katargama Devala premises. The traditional kappa, or the wooden pole cut from a jack tree at the Dedimunda Devala premises in Alutnuwara and brought in a procession to Kandy following the Asian traditions. The first Kumbal Perahara of the Kandy Asala festival will parade the streets from the 30th of this month to the 3rd of August. Randoli Perahara will begin from the 4th of August and the final Randoli Mahaperahara will parade the streets on the 8th of August. Then the Kandy Asala festival will be concluded after the day Perahara to be held on the 9th of August.
President Anurag Kumar Dissanayake held a discussion yesterday afternoon at the Presidential Secretariat with relevant ministers and officials regarding the protection of wild elephants and safeguarding the daily lives of the rural community. During the meeting, the President inquired into the current situation regarding the increasing harassment incidents involving wild elephants and their disruptive impact on the daily lives of rural populations. Officials briefed the President on the prevailing situation and the long-standing difficulties faced by relevant institutions in addressing the issue effectively. President Dissanayake emphasized that under no circumstances should wild elephants be subject to harm or harassment and stressed the importance of identifying short-term, medium-term and long-term solutions. The President directed officials to conduct in-depth assessments at the village level and noted that effective solutions need to be provided with the support of both political leadership and the public. The President instructed the relevant ministers and officials to immediately assign 5,000 members of the Civil Security Force as assistants to address the current shortage of human resources. President Dissanayake further directed that the number of vehicles allocated to officers of the Department of Wildlife Conservation be increased, noting that the current shortage hampers their duties. Accordingly, immediate steps are to be taken to procure cabs and motorcycles for this purpose. In addition, the President called for the prompt preparation and submission of necessary plans for the proposed 800 kilometers of electric fencing and the restoration of 16 elephant corridors aimed at preventing wild elephants from encroaching into villages.
Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya stated that the government will initiate steps to establish a national industrial planning think tank centered on revitalizing the rural economy, and the necessary technical, scientific and advisory support would be provided through that initiative to strengthen businesses across Sri Lanka. The Prime Minister made these remarks while participating in the 40th anniversary celebration of the Regional Development Bank held on recently at PMICH. In line with the anniversary, trade stalls with entrepreneur creations and internet bank facilities have been made available there for 3 days. The Prime Minister also declared open the RDB Quick app for internet users. The Postal Department has issued a commemorative stamp in concurrence with RDB anniversary. The new stamp was presented to the Prime Minister at this ceremony. Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya said that the hand extended by the Regional Development Bank to small and medium-scale entrepreneurs in uplifting the rural economy is highly commendable. Although entrepreneurial talent is inherent, the bank's close engagement with rural communities who often lack the financial strength to develop the capabilities by offering them essential capital, technical guidance and marketing knowledge is immensely valuable in helping them reach international standards. In order to make the theme "A Prosperous Country, a Beautiful Life" a reality, a major contributor to strengthening the national economy at the rural level is indeed the Regional Development Bank. The Premier said that when she arrived at the ceremony, she got to know the majority of the bank's customers as well as its staff are women. Most small and medium-scale businesses in our country are run by women. The institution provides them with significant empowerment. The Premier requested customers that their continued support and assistance to the government in further strengthening the economic potential of the rural community is crucial.
$130 low-income families in the Mathura district are scheduled to be provided with houses by the Housing Development Authority under the theme Houses for All. Out of them, 94 beneficiaries were provided with relevant checks yesterday. The ceremony was held at the Mathura District Secretariat. The beneficiaries have been selected by a committee comprised with 5 government officials in a Grama Niladhari division. Deputy Minister T.B. Sarath and several others were present on this occasion. Under the National Housing Development Plan 2025 in the Galle district, financial aid has been given to 182 housing units. Out of them, 150 beneficiaries were provided with relevant checks at the Galle Kadavat Satra Divisional Secretariat yesterday. Deputy Minister T.B. Sarath said that the government hopes to lift low-income and impoverished communities out of poverty during the remaining 4 years of its term. He stated that a People's Empowerment Committee was being formed to establish coordination for this effort. He added that the President would soon officially delegate authority to this committee through a gazette notification. He further mentioned that the goal of the committee was to implement a complete program aimed at eradicating poverty at the village level.
The Asian Media Summit held at Siem Reap in Cambodia ended today after declaring the Summit Declaration Anchor Initiative 2.0 regarding regional media development. During the summit, which commenced last Tuesday, attention was paid to areas such as media operation in Asia-Pacific region, challenges future progress. This summit is considered a major get-together of media persons of Asia-Pacific region, with a participation of more than 200 professional media persons. Media chiefs and media ministers, Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, representing Sri Lanka, signed for the declaration. He also joined other programs held parallel to the summit. Sri Lankan Media Minister was provided with the opportunity of presenting a special award to the Mass Media Minister of Cambodia, Neth Pictra. Several representatives from the national television and other state institutions were representing Sri Lanka joined the summit. The 21st Asian Media Summit is due to be held in the Maldives next year.
A program to clean the beaches around the island will commence on the 29th of this month. It has been named a clean beach and attractive tourist destination. The program has been organized by the Sri Lanka Army under the sponsorship of the Clean Sri Lanka Secretariat. Army media spokesman Brigadier Varuna Gamage said that they were carrying out the operation in a manner that covered 5 provinces and 14 coastal districts. As an initial step, the campaign was launched at Kakulukala Island and the operation officially began at 7 a.m. He said that over 10,000 army personnel had been deployed for the task. In addition, significant numbers from the Air Force, Navy, Police and the Civil Security Department were also participating. He added that with such widespread participation, if the public also took part, they would undoubtedly be able to carry out the operation successfully. Additional Secretary to the President and Director of Clean Sri Lanka Project, Engineer SPC Sugishwara, said that at the launch of the campaign, which began early in the morning at 7 a.m, a resource contributor had joined them to provide guidance on how to collect the waste and how the necessary technology would be applied. He stated that everyone was invited to participate in the operation by following those instructions. He especially appealed to local citizens, particularly those living along the coastal belt, to join hands with the security forces and provide their support. He emphasized that it was a collective responsibility and called upon the public to come forward and contribute to the effort.
Funeral of the late senior cameraman of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, Rasika Wijetilaka, was held this evening at the Thalahena General Cemetery. Rasika Wijetilaka was 55 years at the time of his demise. He joined the SLRC in 1991 as a trainee cameraman. He contributed his service to productions through camera and lighting for many programs. Chairman, Director General and officials of top management and staff paid last respects to the remains of late Rasika Wijetilaka today.
A major regional summit on disaster preparedness was held in Colombo today, bringing together officials from across South and Southeast Asia. The regional conference on disaster preparedness under the Asian Preparedness Partnership was held in Colombo with participation from 7 countries. The participating nations included Myanmar, Pakistan, Laos, the Philippines, Sri Lanka and Nepal. The summit was organized by Sri Lanka's Disaster Management Center and brought together representatives from the public sector, private institutions and non-governmental organizations. A delegation of 56 representatives from the member countries took part in the conference. Among the distinguished guests were Sri Lanka's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs Arun Hemachandra, Defence Secretary Air Vice Marshal Sampath Tuyakonte and Director General of the Disaster Management Center. High-level officials from the Military Diplomatic Corps, including ambassadors and high commissioners and key figures from both governmental and non-governmental organizations, were also present.
More local news items in brief. The suspect at the shooting incident in Dehiwala on the 18th of this month was killed by a gunfire. Police Special Task Force received information that the suspect had taken refuge in a makeshift hut in a cinnamon plantation in Kahathuduwa area. The STF conducted a search operation in the area last night. At that time, the suspect had opened fire at the police officers. Then the police returned fire, injuring the suspect. The police stated that he succumbed to his injuries on admission to the Veterape Hospital. A police officer was also injured in the incident. Police said that the suspect had been identified as a leading shooter of organized criminal gang. The Air Force SUH-522 helicopter bound to Hambantota crash landed at the Horana Takshila Vidyalaya grounds this morning due to prevailing inclement weather. Our correspondent said that after the weather condition became normal, the helicopter left for its destination. A carcass of an elephant calf aged 4 years was found at a place adjacent to Surya Vavel village in Kantali. Since there were many wounds on the body of the carcass, it is suspected to be shot down. Police conducts further investigations. A wild elephant fell into the ZD main canal in Madurai and washed away about 20 kilometers. After a long operation, about 11 hours, wildlife officials and villagers have managed to rescue the elephant.
That's it on local news. Stay tuned with us for news overseas coming your way after this short break.
Now in international news, at least 4 children have been killed and 17 others injured after the roof of a school building collapsed in India's western state of Rajasthan. The tragedy took place on Friday morning shortly after daily prayers at a government-run school in Barmer district. Authorities say about 25 to 30 students were inside the classroom when the ceiling suddenly gave way. Local police believe the building's deteriorating structure, worsened by recent heavy rainfall, may have caused the collapse. Some of the injured are in critical condition, senior police officer Amit Kumar told the Indian press. Rajasthan's Education Minister Madan Dilawar said he had instructed officials to oversee the medical treatment of the injured and ensure families receive support. Dilawar added that a formal investigation would be launched to determine the exact cause. Footage broadcast on Indian television showed locals and emergency workers using cranes to clear debris as anxious parents looked on.
And in sports news, weightlifting and taekwondo events of the 49th National Sports Festival commenced today. The 3-day event will be over by next Sunday. The weightlifting event commenced today at the Indo Stadium of the Sports Development Department. The inauguration ceremony was held in the morning with the participation of provincial sports directors and the contestants. A large number of weightlifters representing the 9 provinces are participating in the sports festival, which include 8 women's events and 8 men's events. Meanwhile, taekwondo contestants commenced at the Mass Arena Sports Complex of Royal College, Colombo. Contests for the provincial level taekwondo championship were held after the inaugural function. And with that, we wrap up tonight's news bulletin. Do join us tomorrow for more of the very latest. Until then, good night.
Good night and take care.